This is the Escape Podcast for Star Wars The Old Republic. This week, we're going to rewind time and go and watch the 3 original SWTOR trailers and do a little reaction, commentary, analysis, mostly for the Malgus backstory, but also because these are just brilliant trailers. When I started watching them again, I wanted to just do this special edition of the show. So that's what we're going to do. This broadcast, Astromech, is EPC 259. And playing alongside me is Seema. Hi, Seema. How's it going?
Hi, Max. It's going great. We just finished our ops night where we did a pretty quick run of Scum and Villainy for conquest points, which was very fun. I was playing on my second Sork, and I did that thing where at the last minute you realize you're still in the DPS spec, so I had to do my spec, change it, and buttons and all that stuff. And so through the first half hour of the raid, I was going, oh yeah, I don't have such and such.
Yeah.
But it worked out okay because it's story mode. But it was fun. I enjoyed it, and it didn't have any rancors. Unlike KP, which is what we did during MFN on Tuesday, also gaining us a little chunk of conquest points. We're doing conquest on the imp side this week, by the way. We did finish KP. I mean, we finished it at I want to say 10:59 or 11:01. I mean, it was really a photo finish.
Mostly because we
but it was good.
And we were telling stories. We had someone who had never done it before.
That's right. We were telling stories, which is my favorite part.
Yeah.
Well, favorite after people getting knocked into the poison, which nobody did this week.
True. Not even about people, but I really made a point of, look me here. Don't stand here. Don't stand farther back than this. So, yeah.
Zen tried to kill me on that bridge in Scum and Villainy that has the 2 holes. He tried to extricate me back into one of the holes, which would have worked except for I saw it coming and I stopped running. But if I would have taken another step after, I would have been in the hole.
That's true. We might also get through some of these operations slightly quicker if we weren't trying to kill each other the whole time.
That might quicken things up. Yeah.
Putting the firebug on top of people.
I tried to put it on the tank.
Transposing people into cleaves and things like that. Yeah. I guess there's that.
He didn't even react, and he says, "Yeah, because I knew you'd have to heal me through it."
Yeah, right, exactly.
But yeah, so that was fun. Also, conquest. I think our plan is to target medium on the imp side this week, so it's a little bit of a rest week. I have 3 characters to conquest total so far, partially because of 2 different ops, and this is a double rampage week, and the rampages on Nar Shaddaa and Tatooine are both really quick. So I don't know. I might do 1 or 2 more, but I feel like I don't have to. So I'm kind of maybe take a break from conquest activities for the next couple of days, and I wouldn't mind if anyone else did too, because we've been pushing pretty hard on it. So
yeah, don't want to get.
Remember, we're sort of in it for the long haul. So if you need a break, take a break. Don't feel put upon ever. So yeah, that's pretty much my week in SWTOR. How about you, Max?
That's close to my week in SWTOR as well. Karaga's Palace is always fun. Scum and Villainy is also quite fun. We do Scum and Villainy less often than some of the other operations because it is quite long. So you do have to plan. We typically never run anything longer than about an hour and 45 minutes. By the time from start to end, from us getting ready, and the time limits we set for ourselves. So if we're gonna take it a little casually, take some breaks, bring alts in, Scum and Villainy takes a while. So you do need to be prepared and expect to move it just a little bit to make sure you get through there. It's not like we were wiping at all or anything, and weren't going that long. We weren't hitting any enrage timers. It's just a lot of things to do. In fact, we were blasting stuff down in that place. We were really blowing things up.
And I like how we do the Oasis Village now, where everyone just goes to every point.
Right, story mode. Everybody can just stay together in a group and blast those things down. If you aggro one of the robots, you can just leave one of the healers back to just stand there and get shot. As we do. And I also did a little bit of conquest last week. Probably 3 characters, 4, maybe 3, maybe only 3. I've got a bunch of work stuff going on right now, so it's been a little crazy for me. I've got only 1 character done so far this week, but I do have 1 checked off. So we'll see if we can do a little bit more than that. And yes, I'm looking forward to some of what I'm seeing coming up in the news. So let's take a look at that. If I can find it.
Now, an Imperial News Network report.
Yeah, so up in the news, 5.9.3 is the next patch update. The main content dropping as part of 5.9.3 is the Vanden Hutball map. There were continued updates on the PTS, tweaking that. You can go out to the PTS and check it out. That is going to drop for us. I didn't put the date down. It's, I have it though, right here. See, on September 26th. So Eric says it's coming on September 26th. They announced, so today's the 20th. They announced this on the 19th. They announced this yesterday on Twitter. And that caused a little bit of kerfuffle with people because why are you announcing it on Twitter and not on the forums or
Because I hate all these. Yeah.
Because they don't just hate the game, they also hate the players. That's why.
Right.
So but
I mean,
it's
it
a valid
is
question.
a little bit of a mistake.
They
Yeah.
should be consistent. That would certainly help. But yeah, I think Twitter's a terrible place to announce things and to have as any persistent kind of communication.
I used to follow them on Instagram too. I mean, I haven't checked Instagram personally in like 2 years, so maybe they still do it, but there would be random things on Instagram too. So it's like I wish they could or would, update them all consistently.
Well, I mean I got all the feature list for the December expansion and the new plot line off of the MySpace page. If you guys haven't checked that, then you're just missing out.
And I just want to say too, like if they did it on, if they had a pattern of doing that and they did it on Twitter and forgot to update the forums, that I'm totally fine with that. That's a mistake. But then they just come back and say, oh, in case you didn't say Twitter, like this was the plan all.
Right.
Like
right.
Probably you did see, but I'll just double post here on the forums.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Also coming up, double XP, and that's double CXP also, right? And that's starting on October 2nd. And it's going to go for a week.
Yes.
So 1 week.
And that's delayed a week from the release of the update patch, for reasons. Yeah. I think they mentioned a little bit why or something like that. I don't know. It's irrelevant. But you'll have a little bit of a delay, and then we will get it for a week. If you do have an inventory, see, like I have an inventory full of Operation CXP packs, you can keep them
I'm gonna try and be smart.
Put them on alt. Yeah.
I send them all to my Sith Warrior because that's what I'm trying to get up to 300 now.
Yep.
And I kind of in a pattern of when I log in every day, I check to see if it's light V, right?
Yes.
And luckily it wasn't, because I'm like, oh yeah, but I should wait until October 2nd. I probably won't though. I'll probably lock in one day and just go, oh, light V, and click them all. And then during the double event, you'll all be going, oh, I did so many this week, and I'll be in a corner crying.
Right. Because you missed that extra.
I forgot.
That extra tiny bit of bonus, the 1 extra or 2 extra command ranks that you would have got, which isn't really very many.
Double, so. Man, double
trouble. What's up with the guild, Seema?
Our September mega is going to be on September 22nd, 8 p.m. Central, or should I say 9 p.m. Eastern?
No, you should not.
It's going to be Imperial Fleet Pod Racing. And, well, Marcus says 9 p.m. Eastern. So,
irrelevant. That's an imaginary time.
I can't wait to see what form that's going to take. So I'm looking forward to it. Saturday, September 22nd, 9 p.m. Eastern.
Where did you go in game, Seema? I'm riding a Rancor around. I thought it would terrify you.
Oh, did I'm
I'll
not.
find. I'll find you.
I AFK'd out
I'll,
because I
I will
was
find you.
concentrating so hard on my babble.
In community news, somewhat significant news. The New York Community Cantina, sponsored by BioWare, has been canceled, unfortunately. I don't know if everyone's aware, but they had issues. Electronic Arts had issues very serious at one of their recent events, one of their public events. So I think they're really taking a look at how they need to structure those so that everyone is safe and everything works well at these things in the future. So they will not be having the October 4th New York City Cantina event that they had originally planned. They will be doing a live stream instead, where they're going to talk about stuff and they're going to do some giveaways, I'm sure, and all of that kind of thing. They will be sharing news about the Jedi Under Siege update, etc. So stay tuned for more news about that live stream. We do hope that they will have all of their plans together and will still be able to participate in a significant way in the Star Wars Celebration coming next April, because a lot of people are going to be there, including myself. I know SWTOR is going to be there, a bunch of influencers are going to be there, and a bunch of you are going to be there, which is really cool.
Yeah. I'm looking through my speeders because I think I have a Rancor somewhere. Yeah, so I want to make a shout out to the chat room, who are always a big help to us, helping us do sound levels earlier today, because since we're going to be playing those cinematics, we wanted to definitely get all the different things right. So we appreciate that. And we just appreciate you guys showing up every week. So thank you. We love you.
We certainly do. All right, Yoda, what should we do?
Difficult to see. Always in motion is the future.
You know, you're right. The future is in motion. So why don't we wind back time and look at the past? So here's what happened. We're up to the point where we need to finish making that decision whether we're going to roll new characters and start a new story, or we're going to take them forward into the next story. So since we haven't finally made that decision, and it's sort of 50-50 split between the people that have provided feedback so far, I thought, okay, well, maybe we'll go ahead and run the next Flashpoint, which we haven't run yet, which is False Emperor. False Emperor is awesome because it's a conclusion, in many ways, spoiler, to the Malgus storyline, because Malgus does die, in theory, to all apparent viewing to us. He seems to die in that Flashpoint. So I was going to look up a bunch of backstory on Malgus so that we could make sure, remind myself of all of Malgus's backstory. In doing that, I looked up some of his backstory. I read through it. I have not read the full Deceived novel, but I have read enough of the excerpts and enough of the backstory over time that I know most, if not all, of the significant points of Malgus's backstory. Then I also wanted to look back at those original cinematics. I wanted to see Malgus in action so I could really get a sense of it. And once I started doing that, I said, wow, even now, the first trailer came out in 2009. So here we are, 9 years later, and that is still high quality stuff. And it still gets me, and I like it. And there's some really good elements in those 3 original trailers where you see, if you want to focus on Malgus, you see the evolution of Malgus. But you also see the evolution of a few other characters, and you see a lot of little Easter eggs that have now sort of been realized in the game and a lot of the stories that we have that are really fun to think about and talk about and take a look at. So that is what we're going to do tonight. We are going to talk about Malgus in particular. We're going to watch all 3 of the cinematics, the Return, Hope, and Deceived, which were not released in that order, but we'll watch them in story chronological order, not in release order, because they were actually released in reverse order. And we'll play it. I'll make a little commentary while it's playing, just a tiny bit, but I'm not going to stop it. And then when it's done, we'll rewind. We'll talk about parts. We'll talk about all the good things that are going on. So to kick it off, I can do it, or Seema, do you want to do a little bit of young Malgus and who Malgus was to start before we ever see him in Star Wars?
Well, I mean, he was a human kid,
Yeah.
apparently,
Yes.
by the name of Veradun. He very early showed force powers, and apparently, in order to prove himself, he killed, was it one of the family servants?
Yeah, I guess some family servant made a minor mistake of some kind, and he took it upon himself to severely punish
Do you think he?
them to death.
Do you think he used lightning?
Probably. Now Malgus, now Vanden, use your words. Veradun, sorry. Now Veradun, use
Yes.
your words. So his adoptive father,
I mean,
I didn't get to who his original father was. And then maybe that comes out in the Deceived novel, but anyway, his adoptive father was not a Sith. Okay, so there's that.
Right.
He's
In fact, he was a biologist in the Imperial Science Bureau,
yes.
and he had his own zoo.
He did have his own zoo. And the commentary in the Wikipedia article was on a planet other than Droman Kos. Okay, that narrows it down. I was hoping that it was on Droman Kos, and we could look for it in game, but apparently it's not. So there's some cool parts of the book, I know, where as young Veradun is getting ready to go to the Sith Academy, his biologist father takes him around the zoo and shows him various sort of vignettes within the zoo environment, and sort of imparts some of his final wisdom to young Veradun that follows him throughout his life. It's like, look at this scenario with these animals, and this is what that means, and look at this, and that's what that means. So you can look at that in more detail in the book, the book Deceived, but that sort of follows on in a few things that sort of build Malgus as a character. One other thing that leads into what's going on before we first see Malgus in The Return, I think it's before we see him in The Return. So he was on a trip in the Outer Rim world of Genosis, who we all know. And yeah, his name was still Veradun back then, so he must have still just been in training. He comes across this Twi'lek slave girl by the name of Elena Daru, and Elena was getting smacked around by her owner. She's a Twi'lek slave, and Malgus doesn't like that, kills her master, and basically takes the Twi'lek as his own. She remains a slave her whole life, but throughout most of the time that we see Malgus, Elena Daru is basically his girlfriend, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And another defining characteristic of Malgus. So maybe we'll talk about that more when we get to that, but it helps shape and differentiate Malgus from the rest of the Sith, and sets up some of the rationale for why Malgus does what he does by the time of False Emperor.
Right.
All right, should we watch the first trailer, Return?
I think we should.
I think we should. All right, let me fire this up. Yep, here it is. Okay, get ready. Here we go. I'm excited. BioWare flames.
I am.
Pop up. Traditional Star Wars music plays. This one is the most traditional Star Wars in the sound. In this part and further on, you'll hear the Imperial March even.
Korriban,
Satil
ancient
Shan's voice.
birthplace of the Sith. We believed ruins were all that remained of their evil empire.
So this is where they are. They're at Korriban.
I swear, I had no idea what was in those crates. I'm innocent.
Nico
You were
Carr.
smuggling Sith artifacts, Captain.
Fine, keep the artifacts. Just give me
Look how
back my
young
ship.
Satil Shan looks. We'll talk about that.
Aye, Strut.
Just inspecting the troops, Corporal.
Satil, what's wrong?
I sense a great darkness.
Look at those eyes. She does look young. Imperial March.
Sith Empire has returned.
Yes,
We must warn the Republic.
Our shuttles can't outrun those fighters.
Well, guess who's got the fastest ship in the sector?
Nico Car to the rescue.
All hands evacuate.
Okay, this made me want to be a smuggler when I saw this part of the trailer coming up. So the commandos go down, they get blown up, Nico Car gets upset, draws his weapons, Imperial troops coming in to his face. Boom. Spin. Ooh, who's that? Jace Malcolm. Lightsaber battling going on. Jace with an assault cannon.
My shit!
Soldiers all taken out by
Fly.
Satele and
She's not pretty, but she's
Master Kausen Darak. Now an Imperial interceptor, a Sith
Captain, prep your ship.
starship
This is our fight.
lands in the shuttle bay. Darth Vindicon and apprentice Malgus.
Cut the iron cannons!
Two-on-two lightsaber battle. Defining moment by Satele Shan just got saved. Malgus was kicking her butt.
Go, Satele. You must walk a different path.
Satele must walk different. No, Kausen Darak. She throws in her lightsaber. Satele does some gymnastics. Chase Malcolm grabs her.
On those
Nico Car's
guns,
ship takes
now!
out. So good. Here's Kausen Darak fighting both Malgus and doing well. He's holding his own against Odin. And he takes out Vindicon. But now you see where Darth Malgus is coming from. And the power that Darth Malgus has. So he grabs his master's lightsaber with the Force. Focuses his rage. Look at Malgus's face. How young Malgus looks. How pristine his complexion is. Satele Shan uses her master's death.
Keep them off me! Hyperdrive's almost ready!
Stupid hyperdrives. Death sense. Malgus did his respect mid-fight. From Juggernaut to Marauder.
They've escaped, Master. You
So-
failed.
Vindicon didn't die.
This is only the beginning.
Yes. After 1,000 years, Korriban is ours again. Welcome home.
Malgus kills his master. Who we didn't die until then. All right. Okay. That's so good. So good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I love that style where it's not stop action, but they go super slow for a short amount of time, so you see like what they're highlighting.
Like bullet time when they're
Yeah.
in the middle of a battle, and so Vindicon, or no, Malgus is about to take the killing blow down on Satil Shan. His lightsaber's coming down, and Master Kausen Darak throws his lightsaber across the room, and everything slows down. And you see that that lightsaber throw blocks the shot, and Satil Shan lives. This was quite fun. Okay, so let's back it up and look at a couple things. So the return is they're returning to Korriban. This is the Sith returning to Korriban. So they were out of Korriban, off of Korriban. So this is about 28 years before the sacking of Coruscant, and really sort of like the start of where we come into the launch of or Star Wars: The Old Republic. So that's important, 28 years, because we're going to see 2 more trailers, and there's 14 years between each of the trailers, which is sort of fun. So they're up in this Imperial, it's not Imperial, it must be Republic, whatever. They're in this space station above the planet. This Jedi Master is Kausen Darak. Satil Shan is super young here, looking and young looking, with those pale eyes, but
smoky eye.
She's got the smoky eye and like the half-lidded smoky eye. Really young looking, and Jace Malcolm's looking really young, and Darth Malleus is looking really young, and there's Nico Carr, looking the same as ever.
Looking exactly the same, right? Old before his time.
Checking out the armor on the Twi'lek as she walks by.
Right. Yeah, it was the armor. That's what he was looking at.
I did like the Imperial March. I liked the traditional Star Wars music coming into this one, and I think we hear in the future, the second couple trailers, we transition over into the Star Wars: The Old Republic music. This trailer came out third, so this trailer came out pretty close to launch. This was 2011. The first trailer, which is the last that we'll watch, came out in 2009. So there's 2 years between these trailers. What did you think of the Nico Carr move where he does his battle with his dual-wielded blasters?
I love everything about it. I mean, I love that part of it's in that weird slow motion. I love the fact that he does a sort of useless spin.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
And yes, it's not like new moves or anything, but I just like the way his duster kind of flies back, and I like his hat with the sunglasses on his brim. And
so there's Nico Carr, the smuggler.
I fell in love with this guy. Yeah,
the smuggler, making a smuggler look super cool, right?
Yeah, my very, very, very first character was a smuggler with 2 pistols, and I'm like, yeah.
And then here's the commando out here with the assault cannon, making that look super cool. So when I first saw that, when I was first getting into the pre-release, paying attention in 2008, 2009 to the news, following the development, following the beta, I was worried that everybody's going to want to be a Jedi, and these other classes that they were putting in, Trooper and Mercenary and Smuggler, who's going to want to play those? Everybody's going to want to be a Jedi. Everybody's going to want to be a Sith. But because they did this, and because they made those classes so cool, and they made them stand on their own, I felt like this was a big part of the fact that a lot of people went and played these classes. So this is cool.
Yeah, I mean,
there's Jace Malcolm blowing up some robots.
I mean, I love Nico in this, but Jace Malcolm is my all-time favorite character from these.
Yes. It's a shame what happens to him at the
And
end.
it's partially, yes, I know. It's partially because of what you said, that it shows a person with a gun standing up to a person with the Force, which I kind of blew my mind at the time.
Yes. So we're going to see that in detail coming up in the next trailer. So this is Darth Vindicon, who was Malgus's master at the time. So this is quite far into Malgus's training. He's nearly a Sith, a Darth himself at this point, or maybe he is a Darth. He might even be a Darth at this point. Regardless, this is his master. Malgus is still the apprentice to Vindicon. Vindicon fights here. They start this fight together with Satil Shan and Kausen Darak fighting Malgus and Darth Vindicon, and the apprentices pair off and the masters pair off, basically. But there's a little interaction and interplay between the two pairs. So somebody was asking in the chat room, what's all their specs? So I think it's pretty clear that Vindicon is a Sith assassin. Malgus I think is a juggernaut, although he does switch to the dual wielding by the end of the fight. Satil Shan does the whole shadow because she's got the saber staff, and then Kausen Darak is obviously a Jedi Knight of some flavor. So I think that the choreography of this looks pretty good. There's the interplay between the masters blasting sort of saving their apprentices in a couple different ways. I like here that Vindicon does seem really powerful. He force shocks Nico Akar's ship. There's just a lot going on in here, as you said, Seema. They do that bullet time stuff and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, he's just casually gets up from being thrown across the room and he's like over his shoulder saying, "Okay, this ship's not going anywhere."
Yeah. And then I liked. Did you see that move right there? So Kausen Darak tells Satil Shan she's got to go, and he sends her off. She's got to jump in the ship and leave. And then without looking, she throws her lightsaber to her master, and without looking, he catches it behind him, does it spin in the air, ignites the saber staff, and then dual wields a saber staff in one hand and a lightsaber in the other, and fights both Malgus and Vindicon for a good long time, and is nearly victorious against both. So at a minimum, he's victorious against Vindicon. So fight. There's a little, they keep flashing to Nico Akar's ship, flying away. He does the force smash on the ground, knocks him back, and then sort of 1v1s for a second while Malgus is recovering and kills, or doesn't kill. He mortally wounds Vindicon with the no-look lightsaber to the stomach.
Yep. No look. And he falls over.
Oh, right there.
Like a piece of paper.
So this very iconic scene of Darth Malgus. This is him focusing his rage. This is him with the two lightsabers and the red light, lighting up his face.
Yes. Yep.
This was also at a time at the game at the launch when Sith could only use red saber crystals. Remember that?
That's
was
right.
that only in beta?
Yep.
Was
I don't know, but there was like a limitation where if you were Jedi, you couldn't equip the red. Right.
Okay, we're probably spending too much time on this one. So, fight. Kausen Darak dies, and then you get this scene at the very end, which I think is more setup of Malgus, but pretty typical of Sith apprentice relationships.
Rule of two. Yeah.
Malgus taunts his master a little bit that there was this failure because they got away, and then cuts his master down. And now, now Malgus is the master. But Malgus is all sort of smooth-faced, smooth-looking. He's got a little bit of force corruption going, but no, none of the robotics, none of that kind of thing. That's coming soon. All right. Let's go to the next one.
Does have the golden eyeball.
Next, so this is 14 years later in the lore. What's going on here is they're in the middle of, the Sith have returned. They're in the galaxy. There's a war going on. So there's a big war going on between the Empire and the Republic, and the battleground that is the part of this Hope cinematic is a very detrimental assault by the Empire, by the Imperials on Alderaan. It starts with aerial bombardment. You don't see that in the trailer, but they're like carpet bombing all of Alderaan. And then Malgus personally is down on the planet, pillaging and burning. And what we're going to see is a little bit of resistance, a little bit of hope. So let's play this, and then we can talk about what we see here. Bioware logo. We open on a slightly older
For
Jace Malcolm.
centuries, Alderaan stood as a beacon of hope in the Republic. But the Empire came. And with one savage strike, brought Alderaan to her knees.
You see burning cities on Alderaan. You see a bounty hunter swoop in, looks suspiciously like Shea Vizsla.
Time is running out, as few are left to face the enemy. For those that remain, there is but one choice. We must fight to victory or death for the Republic! Lightning and keeps coming, but ultimately gets knocked down. He's knocked out. Now we see Jace Malcolm being dragged. Well, it looks like the battle's going badly for the Republic. Malgus executes some other commando. Looks like it's the end for Jace Malcolm. A few other Sith are about to take him out. Force smash. A little older, a little more mature. Still with the saber staff, and takes out the Sith and a droid at the same time. Goes through 3 Sith. Rips down a tree. Out of a fight on top of the tree. She does a special little move here. We'll talk about that in a second. That scene right there was really cool. Malgus grapples with Malcolm, who realizes
too late. Malgus realizes too late he's holding a thermal detonator that goes off in both of their faces. Malcolm gets up off the ground. He's quite scorched. Remember, he had a plasma grenade go off in his face. It sort of went off right between him and Malgus. He's looking a little bit worse for wear. Yeah, it was disturbance. Oh, he is.
While the sacrifices are heavy, we fight knowing that a single spark of courage can ignite the fires of hope and restore peace across the galaxy.
He's fighting back. And credits roll. Nice.
Oh man.
Nice. So this is Malgus.
See, whenever anybody says, you know, I like to play Sith because of all the lightning, throwing pebbles is so boring. But to me, when I'm playing my Jedi characters, this is what I see in my mind.
Yes.
When I'm casting those pebbles.
Yeah, that's all what Satil Shan does, you know, right here. First she does she throws the pebbles. That's what's going on first, and then she casts disturbance, which is when she does this big old blast right here, and mute that sound, and pastes Malgus to the wall and brings down the cliff on top of him.
Yeah,
you're right. That's pretty dramatic.
And the reason she can do that is because Jace Malcolm came in from the side and with the body slam.
Yes, with the body
just regular
slam.
Old body slam.
Yeah. Well, he comes in. He comes in here. He body slam or he grapples. Oh, I got to get back to that part in a second. The filming on this part was really good. So he comes in. He comes after Malgus. He jumps in after Malgus, tries to body tackle him. They're grappling. Hand in hand, arm in arm, and then Jace Malcolm's hand opens, and he's got a thermal detonator, and he detonates it, and he detonates it right in between both of them, so they both take a blast in the face. Malgus is pretty torn up here, so right there, that plus this cliff that comes down on top of him, this is what turns Malgus into what he becomes. So after this damage that's done to him, the plasma grenade going off in his face and chest, and then the mountains coming down on top of him, that's why he has to have the respirator on his face for the rest of his life. This battle right here. So there was this one other move that I wanted to mention right here. So Satil Shan, and I think this was filmed brilliantly. This was set up brilliantly. Satil Shan does a flip. You know, Malgus is she's sort of pinned to a tree. She does a flip over the top of Malgus. Malgus catches her, destroys her lightsaber, and is about to run her through with his lightsaber. And you see from behind for a second, it looks like he's killed her. Because you see his lightsaber come down, and it looks like his lightsaber just went right into her chest, right there. So if you hadn't seen this before, or even when I was seeing it again, I'm like, I know it. Did she get? I know she didn't, but that totally is set up. So that's what you think. And then the camera pans around, and what's going on? She's deflecting his lightsaber with her hand. So this is a specific thing. This is a Jedi technique or a Force technique. In fact, I didn't know until today that it's got a name. So this, if you look up on Wikipedia, This is called tutaminis. So tutaminis is a force technique where you can take energy weapons or energy shot at you like lightning, and you can force absorb that lightning and in some cases then project it back out. So this has happened a few times across Star Wars lore. This is an excellent example of it. But other times that we've of course seen it have been Yoda absorbing the Force lightning from Dooku, Count Dooku, and then shooting it back out. And then we also saw it. We technically saw it whenever Darth Vader would force deflect blaster bolts. But this just looks so cool when Satele Shan does that with her hand, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, that whole cinematic is just I used the term before, but it was just mind blowing.
Yeah. And there's Malgus and there's Jace Malcolm.
And the ending with all the lights.
The 1,000 points of
And
light.
the first time I watched it, I didn't realize the name of it was Hope. In fact, it was much later when I actually put names to the trailers. But that is what it's about, because it looks like the Sith have it in the bag. And then this small victory in this small little area of Alderaan, and he shoots his gun up, and then you see there's been small victories all over Alderaan.
Yes. He shoots his flare, you're right. And then they pan out from the planet and you see all the little red points of light. And that's the indication that those are all the flares going up, that the Republic resistance is taking back Alderaan. And then you see and then the Republic ships come in. The Republic fleet is coming in past the camera. The one other thing I wanted to mention in here, which is significant, is in the first trailer, there was the nice little interplay between Jace Malcolm and Satele Shan, and Jace Malcolm's the one who reaches down out of Nico Carr's ship and catches Satele Shan and pulls her back up into the ship. And here they're fighting pretty well together. They're 2-on-1 against Malgus, and they defeat Malgus together. And then at the end, Jace Malcolm's standing there. Satele Shan comes up, sort of behind him. And no words between them. They both just sort of glance, peripheral vision at each other. And we know from later on that those two are an item at some point. I think maybe post this. But they obviously have, some sort of a relationship after both of these events.
And how do we know that, Max?
Because they got a kid. They got busy.
And who's the kid?
The kid is what's his name?
Theron Shan.
Theron Shan is funky hair. Theron Shan.
Yeah. What's his name?
Okay.
I didn't realize I was putting you on the spot there.
Well, I blink out on names as soon as someone asks me.
Yes,
it's not like I don't know who Theron Shan is, but yeah, ask me then. Where do? Yes. So the real question here is Satele Shan pregnant? Is she pregante?
Pregnant?
Can the Force get her pregnant? That's the question.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. So
crazy internet.
Let's move to the last one. 14 more years. So the return to Korriban was started. Then 14 years after that, there was this battle on Alderaan. Since then, what's happening? And then let me pull it up and cue it up. What's been happening is the Empire and Republic have been fighting. At this point in the war, though, there's talk of a truce, and as they're preparing to set up negotiations so that they can talk through this truce behind the scenes, because they're full of lies, the Sith decide that this is a great time to launch a sneak attack on Coruscant. And so this is the sacking of Coruscant. So let's watch what happens here. Sexual themes. It's rated T for teen. I don't think there really is in the trailer, but just in general, that's what it means. Although we just took it there, didn't we?
We did.
Is she pregnant?
Our time has come. For 300 years, we prepared. We grew stronger.
Malgus doing the voiceover.
While you rested in your cradle of power.
Some people thought that this was Vet.
Believing your
Is not
people
Vet.
were safe and protected.
Yeah. Just wastes a bunch of guards. Oh, look at that. Shay Vizsla. She's looking pretty young there. She shouldn't be that young there.
You were trusted to lead the Republic, but you were deceived. As our powers of the dark side have blinded you.
And here we go. 6 Jedi face off against Malgus. Crashes into the cage. This was just so cool.
You assumed no force could challenge you.
Malgus doesn't flinch.
And now... finally, we have returned.
Horde of the Sith and Horde of Jedi crashing into Jedi Master Ben Zalo. There's another Sith Lord there. His name is Lord Adros. And Malgus wants to fight Zalo. Bullet time. This is Force Smash missile. Smack in Malgus' face.
You were
Doesn't
deceived.
save Valo. Or Zalo.
And now your Republic shall fall.
So sad. Okay. So in the last trailer, we saw the Republic prevail on Alderaan. Now we see the sacking of Coruscant, and it's serious business. And this is the Empire prevailing. So, few things here. I like that balance because there's two factions in this game, and you want people to have something to identify with and get that feeling of, you know, the Empire isn't, you know, on the losing side. They aren't going to always be crushed by the Republic. This was a spectacular example of Imperial and Sith strength, just the sacking of Coruscant and sacking of the Jedi Temple. So what did you think of this one, Seema?
Well, there's two moments in it for me when I saw it the first time, and one is when you get that first glimpse of all the red lightsabers,
Yes.
and then the other one was when Malgus and is fighting with the Jedi guy, and there's that moment when they both stop, and I thought, you know, did their lightsabers go through both of them? You know, who won and who lost just then, and then you see the Jedi drop his head, and my reaction was like, oh,
Yeah.
but yeah,
You feel for him. And so
yeah,
So here, let's go to that. And then if you look close, not only is he defeated because he's dying with a lightsaber through his gut, but you can see the fires of Coruscant reflected in his eyes. And it's not until he looks up and looks out and sees that Coruscant has been sacked that he's truly defeated. Right here, he looks out, he looks around, and he's like, ugh. And then he's truly defeated, and he falls down, and you see what he saw, which is the Empire just destroying Coruscant at the time. Ouch.
Yeah.
Well, if it hits enough, so they're saying, will a lightsaber in the gut kill you? It probably was. Maybe it hit his heart. Maybe it got some aortas, took out a lung or two. So back here in the beginning, this Twi'lek that's walking along with Malgus, that's Elena Daru. That's his girlfriend. Girlfriend, practically wife by this point in their life. Now, if you
right, and also still slave.
Also still slave. I think
it's complicated.
It's complicated. But obviously hanging out here. In the book, this scene is detailed in much more detail. There's more of the nuance of what happens, and she gets knocked down and knocked out by Zalo during the fight, and that puts Malgus into a final rage, which is what sort of gets him victorious. And then a whole bunch of other things happen between her and Malgus and the two Sith Lords, which were organizing this battle, which puts Malgus on the path to becoming that renegade Sith that he becomes later in life. Mm-hmm. Now, him having a relationship with a Twi'lek, with an alien, is problematic within the Sith, and the other Sith Lords play off of that, and they turn Malgus aside based on some of that. And what Malgus's false empire, when he claims himself as the Emperor, by the time we're done with Ilum in our class stories, what Malgus has done in that, he's saying that the existing empire is wrong. It's bad. The infighting between the Sith is terrible. Them rejecting aliens and them being this divisive force is what's wrong with the empire. And what he wants to do is he's declaring himself a new emperor, and his model of the empire is no more of this infighting between the Sith, no more of this rejection of other races and alien races, where he's going to be a unifying force across this new empire. So these are defining moments. I like this shot of Shae Vizsla. I forgot that you got a shot of her with her helmet off as she's hanging out here. And then she puts her iconic armor, her Mandalorian armor on. She is looking pretty young here. The chat room is saying it still would be pretty young. I guess how many years? I don't know how many years it was between the sacking of Coruscant and basically, chapter 1 of our class stories.
Yeah.
So that may be another significant number of years, but she still looks a little too young, I think, there, because I think she should look probably another 15 years older. She looks 20 right there, but she's in the shadows. It's hard to see. Yes, it's only 5 years between sacking of Coruscant and
the character artists at Blur take some liberties.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, they're creating beauty, really, when they do these things, and I'm not too concerned if it doesn't look, or make sense even. Like I said about that scene with Nico, but I still love it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I like their liberties.
So this, in theory, this is also explained in the book, this assault on the Jedi Temple was meticulously planned and practiced for for a long time. And that's why Malgus can be so confident about exactly what's going to happen here, and why he doesn't flinch or move or even turn around and look back at the shuttle that's crashing through the doors here. The other part that happens here is the other Jedi that are here with Venzalo, They start to freak out when they realize there's a shuttle flying in. Venzalo doesn't move. So he's a serious guy. He's a serious fighter. So this is showing that it's not, it's not a weak character, but Malgus
Right.
is
They have a
very, very strong
right.
at this point. And you're right here, when the door of the shuttle opens up, it's sort of like the big shuttle bay opens up. And that's Lord Adras, who ignites his saber in the bay of the shuttle. I think that's Lord Adras. If not, it's just one of the 50 Sith that's part of this assault. But he lights his saber. It flashes back to Malgus. That he steps out, and then all those other Sith light up their sabers. That was so cool. Right there. And then you see, okay, this is Old Republic. This is not the rule of two. This is what the Old Republic was like. It was a bunch of Jedi and a bunch of Sith. And that's why we can play the Old Republic. And we all can be Jedi and Sith, although we all love being, Mandalorians and then, everything else too. But this is it.
Right, because there were that many Sith and Jedi.
Yes.
I mean, there were.
I mean,
not like during the time of the Skywalker saga where there's only a handful.
And then, 2 seconds later, the rest of the Jedi that were in the Jedi Temple show up, and right there, I thought this was another really cool scene. You see the glow sticks. You see there's something like 50 Sith that are part of this assault. I think we're only seeing about 20 here or 30. But then you see like 60 or 80 Jedi, and it's all the blue and green lightsabers flowing, and the red lightsabers, and they're all flowing towards each other and into a big clash, into a big, as someone said in the chat room, into a big rave, glow stick rave. And then bam. And there's that Elena Daru. I wish we had seen more of her. There's reasons we don't, which I will not explain at this point in time, but read the Deceived novel. But it's too bad we don't see her because she looks pretty cool. Okay, so yes, this one was done in 2009. So this was the first trailer that was released, this one in 2009. And then the middle trailer, the Alderaan trailer, was released in 2010. And then The Return, the first trailer we watched was The Return to Korriban and Nico Carr. That was released in 2011, not long before launch. And then the book, which ties them all together and tells the Darth Malgus story in detail, was also released in 2011. So there's that.
It's really interesting. Like when I first saw these, of course, I didn't notice that it was like that. Really, Darth Malgus was it's really part of his story. He's in each one, and you see his progression, like you said, from young apprentice with the clean face and to, in the middle one where he's showing more Sith corruption, and then of course his face gets ruined at the end of that, and then in this one where he's got the mechanical face.
Yeah. And we in the middle one, in the Alderaan one, we get to see when that happens, and now he's sort of evolved to his final form in this one.
Right, and like someone in chat room mentioned, Satiel's not in this one.
Right. True. She is not.
And that could be why she survived to be in the game.
That's true. I mean, this had to be a victory for the Sith. This was the sacking of Coruscant, and Malgus survived the landslide in the last one, but it was enough of a defeat, and it defeated the rest of the Sith that had attacked Alderaan, that you could see it was an obvious Republic victory. In this one, it had to be an obvious Imperial victory. A couple other little side points here. We're running late, but we'll let it ride. Shea Vizsla here does Death from Above, and then a flame sweep, which I think is really cool. Right here in just a second. Did I skip it? Did I miss it already? Maybe I went past it already. Back it up. Back it up, Shea Vizsla. Where are you at? A little bit of lightning there. Shea Vizsla. Yeah, here we go. Shea Vizsla, Death from Above. and then flame sweep. Classic Merc moves right there. And then you can see just for a second here, Venzalo, I keep saying that. Venzalo does a knockback on Alina Daru in the middle of the fight. That's part of what then sends Malgus into his killing rage. Or did I miss? I think I just passed over it for a second there. I think it comes right after this. Yeah, there, bang. He knocks her right into the pillar. So there's Alina Daru. He smashes her into a pillar. She's hurt pretty bad and knocked unconscious. And that's what sort of sets Malgus off into the final duel. Exciting stuff. Yes, T7 the droid.
Yep.
He's here. There he is. He just showed up. Lots of these little things that all come back into the game. Nuko Okar coming back into the game. Shea Vizsla coming into the game. This is all super cool stuff. Bullet time. Jumps over the lightsaber.
After this drank.
All right. I think we are pretty good then. That was fun. I'm glad we had a chance to do that. And I recommend, I know we were sort of talking over it and that kind of thing. I recommend every once in a while, go and watch the trailer. Go watch all the Blur trailers. The Coffee Cotet trailers, I think, are spectacular as well. But it's just good stuff all around. So, all right, with that, our EPC 259 can get ready to pop out an airlock and be a hero just like T7 and broadcast this episode to all of you. Please keep up with us on Twitter at MaxTheGray and at AIESEMA. And if you know cool people that should be playing with us, we've had a bunch of new people joining lately. We would love to have more people in the guild for our fun nights on Tuesday nights, the operations teams we have running, and our big monthly guild events like our guild event coming up next week. Grab us. We're on Starforge. Grab us on Twitter. Get in AIE-guild.org and find our guild Discord. Track us down. We'll get you a guild invite. That's what we're here for. And we'll talk to you soon.
Later, everyone.